Greetings, wise seeker, come, draw near to the fire of this ancient wisdom. I want you to bring to mind a specific moment, a moment you shared a piece of good news, a personal triumph, a long-sought promotion, a creative breakthrough. You turned to someone you considered a friend, a confidant, your heart open and brimming with joy. And as you shared your success, you watched their face. There was a smile, yes, the mouth formed the correct shape. The words spoken were the right ones. Congratulations, I'm so happy for you. But the eyes did not smile. For a fleeting instant, you saw something else there. A flicker of coldness, a shadow that passed so quickly, you almost convinced yourself you had imagined it. In the days that followed, you noticed other things. A backhanded compliment that felt more like a veiled insult, a subtle downplaying of your achievement to others, a conspicuous silence when your success was mentioned in a group. They act friendly, but in the quiet chambers of their heart, they plot your failure. This is the sting of hidden envy, a poison administered with a smile, a dagger wrapped in a new velvet cloth. It is a profound and disorienting pain, for it comes not from an avowed enemy, but from one who wears the mask of a friend. How, in the face of such a subtle and corrosive force, does one maintain their peace? How does one protect their spirit without becoming bitter and suspicious? This is the core challenge we shall confront together today. This is not a guide to seeking revenge or exposing others with anger. No, that is the path of the uninitiated. Our purpose here is sacred. We will walk the path of the Stoic sages to learn how to recognize hidden envy, to understand its bitter root, and most importantly, to render it powerless over our tranquility and our virtue. We will learn to build an inner fortress so strong that the secret ill will of others becomes nothing more than a passing breeze against its unyielding stone walls. It is a deeply human experience to feel the confusion, the hurt, the betrayal that this quiet envy brings. It can make you question your own judgment, your own worth, even your own success. You may ask yourself, did I do something to provoke this? Should I shrink myself to make them more comfortable? It is a lonely and wearying battle. I want you to know here and now that you are not alone in this struggle. The greatest souls throughout history have faced the sting of envy. It is a shadow that is often cast by the light of achievement, but you do not have to live in that shadow. The Stoics, masters of the human soul, have bequeathed to us a set of powerful practical tools for precisely this affliction. Over the course of our time together, we will unveil 10 foundational pillars of Stoic wisdom. Think of them not as abstract theories, but as master keys, each one capable of unlocking a new level of resilience, clarity, and inner peace. They are your inheritance, a birthright of strength waiting to be claimed. And so, I invite you now to quiet the external world, silence the notifications, take a conscious deep breath, and allow your mind to settle. The wisdom we are about to explore is not for passive hearing, but for active integration into the very fabric of your being. This is not entertainment. It is an act of self-reclamation. Our shared pilgrimage into the heart of Stoic strength begins with understanding a truth so fundamental it can re-architect your entire response to this challenge. Let us begin. Our first pillar is this: judge a tree by its fruit, not its leaves. You must cultivate an attentive mind, what the Stoics called prosos, and learn to give precedence to people's actions over their words. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus was relentless on this point. He taught that the world is filled with beautiful words that carry no weight. People can profess loyalty, friendship, and happiness for you, for these are easy to produce. Actions, however, require intention, effort, and character. They are the true measure of a soul. Envy is a creature of darkness. It rarely announces itself plainly. It hides behind pleasantries and plausible excuses. To the untrained mind, this is confusing. To the Stoic in training, It is simply data to be observed without passion. Why is this crucial? Because your peace is shattered when a chasm exists between what you are told and what you experience. By focusing on actions, you close that chasm. You align your understanding with reality. Consider the parable of the two gardeners. Both have plots of land side by side. The first gardener, Ilara, sees her neighbor, Lyron, tending his own garden. Lyron often calls over the fence, "Your roses are magnificent, Ilara, truly the best in the village." Yet Ilara notices that when the wind blows seeds from her vibrant flowers onto his path, he crushes them underfoot. When a blight begins to appear on one of her prize-winning vines, she sees a flicker of satisfaction in his eyes, though he says, "What a terrible shame." Lyron's words are the beautiful leaves, but his actions, or inactions, are the bitter fruit. An unattentive person would be confused by Lyron, hurt by his eventual betrayals. But Ilara, practicing prososh, understands. She does not grow angry. She simply knows where to build her fence and which gardener's advice to trust. How do you forge this attentive mind? Start a journal of actions. For 1 week, when you interact with someone you suspect harbors envy, disregard their praise. Write down only their actions. What did they do to support you? What did they do that subtly undermined you? The pattern will emerge from the ink, stark and clear. Practice observational detachment. When you receive a compliment that feels off, do not react emotionally. Instead, become a scientist. Silently say to yourself, "An interesting verbal formulation. Let me observe the subsequent actions for corroborating data." This transforms you from a victim into a researcher. The test of shared vulnerability. Briefly share a minor setback or struggle. The envious person will often struggle to feign sympathy. They may offer platitudes quickly before changing the subject, or worse, offer advice designed to make you feel less competent. A true friend's actions will show genuine concern. By practicing this, you will harvest the virtue of clarity. The fog of confusion lifts. You will no longer waste emotional energy trying to reconcile contradictory signals. You will move through your social world with a quiet confidence, knowing who is truly in your corner and who is merely standing in your light to cast a shadow. Remember the words of the great Roman statesman, Cato, which the Stoics admired. I'm not accustomed to pay compliments. I do not know how to do so. Trust the plainness of action over the artistry of words. Our second most crucial pillar is this: you command the citadel of your mind. Let the rest of the world be as it is. This is the foundational Stoic principle known as the dichotomy of control. You must learn to relentlessly distinguish between what is in your power and what is not. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the most revered Stoic teachers, built his entire philosophy on this unshakable rock. He stated, "Some things are up to us, and some things are not up to us. What is up to us? Our judgments, our impulses, our intentions, our responses, in short, our own character. What is not up to us? Everything else. The weather, the economy, our reputation, and most certainly, the feelings and thoughts of other people." Another person's envy is born within their soul. It is their internal weather. It is fundamentally, irrevocably outside of your control. To try and control it, to lament it, to be angered by it, is, in the Stoic view, a form of madness. It is to surrender the keys to your inner peace to someone else. Imagine you are a master archer. Your task is to shoot an arrow with perfect form. Everything up to the moment of release is within your control. Your stance, your breathing, your aim, the tension of the string. You dedicate all your skill to this process. This is your virtue. However, the moment the arrow leaves the bow, it enters the realm of things you do not control. A sudden gust of wind may arise. The target might be faulty. An animal could dart across its path. The Stoic archer does not rage against the wind. Her job was to shoot the arrow well. The outcome was never hers to command. Another person's envy is the gust of wind. It was never your arrow to aim. Your job is to live your life virtuously, to pursue your goals with excellence. Whether someone else's soul generates a gust of envy in response is their concern, not yours. The mental ledger. When you feel the sting of someone's hidden envy, take a mental pause. Draw a line down the center of your mind. On one side, list what is yours. My response, my integrity, my choice to remain calm, my focus on my work. On the other side, list what is theirs. Their feelings of inadequacy, their secret resentment, their backhanded compliments, their opinion of me. Own your side of the ledger, discard theirs. A meditative refrain, create a mantra. As you sense their envy, repeat silently to yourself, "This is external to me. It is not mine. My good resides in my response." This simple act reclaims your mental territory. Refocus on your craft. The ultimate antidote to worrying about their envy is to redouble your focus on the very thing they envy. Are they envious of your success at work? Then dedicate yourself to your tasks with even greater excellence, not to spite them, but because that is where your control lies. The harvest here is immense, freedom and tranquility. You will be liberated from the emotional puppetry of others. Their envy can exist, but it cannot touch you, for it has no purchase on the smooth, high walls of your inner citadel. You will experience a profound and unshakable peace. Let the words of Marcus Aurelius echo in your soul. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Our third pillar instructs us, view the envious person not as a malicious enemy, but as a suffering patient. Their envy is not a sign of their strength, but a symptom of their inner poverty and sickness of the soul. The Stoics believed that no one does wrong willingly. When people act out of vice, be it anger, greed, or envy, they do so from a place of ignorance. They are mistaken about what is truly good. The envious person mistakenly believes that your success has somehow diminished them. They believe that external things, your promotion, your relationship, your talent, are the source of happiness. Because they lack these things and you possess them, they feel a deep and painful sense of lack. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, they are depriving themselves of the good. They are not attacking you so much as they are flagellating themselves with the whip of comparison. To hate them for this is like hating a man with a fever for sweating. It is an inappropriate response to an affliction. Consider a wise physician entering a quarantine ward. He sees people contorted by illness, lashing out in delirium. Does he take their fever-induced insults personally? Does he become angry at their diseased state? No, he sees the illness, not the person. He feels a professional compassion, a desire to understand the pathology, and a resolve to protect his own health while doing his work. When you encounter envy, you are that physician. You are walking into the quarantine ward of another's soul. Their envious remarks are the ravings of their spiritual sickness. It is not about you. It is a revelation of their own internal pain. This perspective does not excuse their behavior, but it neutralizes its emotional poison. The diagnostic reframe. When you witness an act of envy, instead of thinking, "They are trying to hurt me," reframe it as a diagnosis. I am observing the symptoms of a soul that feels inadequate and insecure. This intellectual shift creates emotional distance. The question of pity. Ask yourself, would I trade my life, my mind, my entire being for theirs, even with my current challenge and their apparent ease? The answer is always no. You would never choose to be a person so consumed by another's life that they feel such pain. This recognition is the seed of a profound, detached pity. Wish them well from a distance. You do not need to be their friend, but in the privacy of your own mind, you can wish them healing. Silently think, may you find your own sources of worth. May you be free from this suffering. This is not for them, it is for you. It is an act that purges bitterness from your own heart. The virtue harvested here is magnanimity, a largeness of spirit. You rise above the petty battlefield. You are no longer a combatant in their sad war. This elevated perspective protects your own spirit from the corrosion of resentment. As Seneca wrote, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. They are trapped in envy. You will be free in understanding. Our fourth pillar stands on this timeless truth. The world can give you rewards, but it cannot give you worth. Your value as a human being is determined not by external achievements, possessions, or the opinions of others, but solely by the quality of your character, your virtue. This is the very heart of Stoic ethics. For the Stoics, things like health, wealth, and reputation are preferred indifference. It's nice to have them, but they have zero bearing on your ultimate worth. The only true good is virtue, wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. The only true evil is the opposite, vice. Why is this such a powerful defense against envy? Because the envious person is attacking your preferred indifference. They are envious of your new job, your happy family, your creative talent. If you also believe that these things are the source of your worth, then their envy can genuinely harm you. It can make you feel that your worth is being threatened. But if your worth resides in your virtue, in your kindness, your integrity, your resilience, then their envy cannot touch it. It is like throwing pebbles at a diamond. Picture a master craftsman. He spends his life learning to create beautiful, sturdy chairs. His workshop is a temple to his skill. One day he builds his masterpiece. He places it in the town square, and a wealthy merchant buys it for a great sum. Another man, a rival craftsman consumed by jealousy, whispers to the townspeople, the wood is common, or the design is clumsy. Now, if the craftsman's self-worth comes from the price the chair fetched or the praise of the crowd, the rival's envy will wound him. But the true craftsman's worth comes from something else. It comes from the act of creation. It is in the honesty of his joinery, the patience of his sanding, the wisdom in his design. It is in the character he forged while building the chair. The opinions of the rival are irrelevant noise. His virtue is in the work, not the reward. Define your inner scorecard. Write down what success means to you in terms of character. Is it being a more patient parent, a more honest colleague, a more courageous artist? This is your true scorecard. Your promotion is an external event. Your integrity in that role is the real prize. The indifferent categorization. When you achieve something and sense envy from another, consciously categorize the achievement. This new contract is a preferred indifferent. It is useful, but my worth comes from the diligence and honesty I brought to the negotiation. This mentally separates your identity from the achievement, acts of secret virtue. Practice doing good deeds that no one will ever know about. Help a stranger, donate anonymously, do a task perfectly for your own satisfaction. This strengthens the muscle of internal validation and starves the part of you that feeds on external praise. The harvest is the ultimate prize, self-reliance. You will become your own source of validation. The applause of others will be pleasant, but not necessary. The envy of others will be noted, but not felt. Your sense of self will be unassailable. Remember this Stoic maxim: if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Your compass is your own virtue, not the shifting maps of public opinion. Our fifth pillar reveals a profound secret of the wise. The obstacle in the path becomes the path itself. You must not simply endure the envy of others. You must use it as a tool for your own growth. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, captured this idea perfectly in his meditations. He wrote, "The impediment to action advances. Action. What stands in the way becomes the way." For a Stoic, every challenge is a sparring partner for our virtue. An unexpected illness is a chance to practice courage and patience. A financial loss is a chance to practice indifference to externals. And the hidden envy of a supposed friend? What a magnificent opportunity. It is a chance to practice every lesson we are discussing today. Attentiveness, the dichotomy of control, pity and self-reliance. It is a whetstone sent by fate to sharpen your character. To resent it is to resent the very tool that can make you better. Think of an alchemist in his laboratory. A common man is given a lump of dull grey lead. He curses it as worthless. But the alchemist smiles. He sees not what it is, but what it can become. He takes the lead, the obstacle, and subjects it to the fire of his furnace and the application of his secret formulas. Through this process of trial and transformation, he seeks to create gold. The hidden envy you face is that lump of lead. The common response is to curse it, to be burdened by its weight. The Stoic alchemist, however, welcomes it. They place it in the furnace of their philosophy. They apply the formulas of right judgment and virtuous action. And what emerges is not bitterness or revenge, but the shining gold of personal character, patience, resilience, and wisdom. Retitle the experience. When you are faced with an act of envy, do not label it an attack or a betrayal. Relabel it in your mind as a training scenario. Ask, what virtues is this event asking me to practice right now? Is it patience, forgiveness, strategic silence? The Gratitude Journal, Advanced. This is challenging but transformative. At the end of a day where you felt the sting of envy, write down one way that experience could potentially make you stronger or wiser. Their backhanded compliment is an opportunity for me to practice relying only on my own assessment of my work. Identify the virtue test. See the envious person not as an antagonist, but as a non-player character in the great game of your life, designed specifically to present you with a virtue test. Passing the test means responding with wisdom and tranquility, not anger and agitation. The virtue you harvest is resilience in its most active and potent form. You will no longer be a brittle soul that shatters under pressure. You will become an anti-fragile being that grows stronger, wiser, and more capable through adversity. Let this be your guiding star, from Marcus Aurelius. The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing, in that it stands ready for what comes and is not thrown by the unforeseen. Our sixth pillar invites us to ascend to a higher vantage point. Shrink the problem by expanding your perspective. To see the affair from a cosmic viewpoint, what the Stoics called katascoping, or the view from above. Marcus Aurelius practiced this meditation constantly in the midst of war, plague, and betrayal. He would, in his imagination, pull his consciousness up from his body, looking down upon the battlefield, then upon the entire Roman Empire, then upon the whole of the earth, a small sphere in the vastness of space. He would see all of human history, the rise and fall of empires, generations being born and dying. From this immense perspective, how significant was a single insult? How world-shattering was one man's petty jealousy? It shrinks to its proper size, almost nothing. This is not to encourage apathy, but to establish proper proportion. The pain of envy feels enormous when you are immersed in it. From the view, from above, it is a tiny temporary drama on a very large stage. Imagine you are standing on the shore of a vast ocean, staring at a single murky tide pool. In it, Two tiny crabs are fighting over a piece of algae. To them, in their little world, this conflict is everything. It is life and death, success and failure. But you, standing on the shore, see the whole picture. You see the immense, sunlit ocean stretching to the horizon. You hear the crash of the great waves. You see the vastness of the sky. In the context of this grandeur, the battle in the tide pool is insignificant. When you are caught in the drama of someone's envy, you are in that tide pool. The view from above is the act of stepping back onto the shore, of remembering the ocean. Your life, your purpose, your journey, that is the ocean. Their envy is the petty squabble of the crabs. The planetary zoom out. Close your eyes. Visualize the situation causing you pain. Now imagine floating upwards, seeing the room, then the building, the city, the country, until the entire planet is a blue marble below you. See all 7 billion people with their own struggles and dramas. Now where is that one person's envy? See it in its true context. It is a microscopic event, the timeline of history. Think of a figure from history you admire who faced immense hardship. Socrates, Harriet Tubman, Nelson Mandela. Consider the betrayals and hatred they faced. Now place your own current struggle on that vast timeline of human resilience. This contextualizes your problem and connects you to the strength of the human spirit. Contemplate your own mortality, memento mori. Remind yourself that your time is finite. The Stoics did this not to be morbid, but to prioritize. I have a limited number of days, Marcus would reflect. Shall I waste the precious present moment consumed by the state of another person's soul? The virtue you gain from this practice is perspective, which is the parent of wisdom. It grants you emotional sobriety. It keeps you from making mountains out of molehills and allows you to conserve your precious energy for what truly matters. Living your own life well. Remember the question Seneca often posed: what is man? A fragile vessel, broken by the slightest shaking. From a great height we are all fragile. This fosters humility and calms the fires of personal grievance. Our seventh pillar is one of practical wisdom. A wise warrior knows which battles are not worth fighting. You must master the art of strategic silence and, when necessary, prudent withdrawal. Seneca, a man who navigated the treacherous political courts of Emperor Nero, was a master of this principle. He understood that engaging with every critic, confronting every slight and trying to win every argument is a fool's errand. It depletes your energy, distracts you from your purpose, and most importantly, it validates the attacker. By reacting, you are signaling that their opinion has power over you. Silence, on the other hand, is often a statement of immense strength. It says, "Your words have no purchase here. Your opinion is irrelevant to my course of action. I will not dignify this with a response." This is not passive weakness. It is a conscious, strategic choice made from a position of inner power. Consider a great lion walking with majestic calm through the savannah. A pack of small, yapping hyenas begins to circle him, nipping at the air, chattering with frantic energy. The lion could, with one powerful swipe, injure or kill one of them. But what would be the point? It would be a waste of his noble strength. It would lower him to their level of frantic chaos. Instead, he gives them a glance of utter indifference and continues on his path, his destination unchanged, his peace undisturbed. His silence and continued progress are a more powerful statement than any roar of anger would be. When faced with the yapping of envy, be the lion. Do not descend to the level of the hyenas. Walk on. Before you respond to a backhanded compliment or a subtle dig, ask yourself one question. Is a confrontation here useful for my ultimate purpose? 99% of the time, the answer will be no. The desire to correct them or put them in their place is your ego speaking, not your reason. In practical terms, this is the grey rock method. When the envious person tries to provoke a reaction, you become as boring and unresponsive as a grey rock. You give short, non-committal answers. I see. Okay. Thanks for your input. You do not offer them any emotional energy, positive or negative, on which to feed. Their attempts will slide right off you. If you're in a situation with a known envious person, have an exit strategy. It can be a simple phrase. Well, I must be going. I have that project to attend to. This is not rude. It is a prudent management of your time and tranquility. You are choosing to walk away not in defeat, but in self-preservation. The virtue you cultivate is prudence or practical wisdom. You become a masterful steward of your own energy and focus. You learn that true power lies not in reacting, but in choosing not to. You preserve your peace for the things that truly matter. Let Epictetus guide you. If a person gave your body to any stranger he met on his way, you would certainly be angry. And do you feel no shame in handing over your own mind to be confused and mystified by anyone who happens to verbally attack you? Protect your mind as you would your body. Our eighth pillar is perhaps the most challenging, yet the most liberating. Do not just accept your fate, fall in love with it. This is the Stoic discipline of amor fati, a love of fate. This means embracing everything that happens, including the existence of envious people in your life, as necessary and even good. Friedrich Nietzsche, who was deeply influenced by the Stoics, coined the phrase, but the concept is purely Stoic. Marcus Aurelius spoke of being like a fire that consumes whatever is thrown into it and burns all the brighter. He urged us to cooperate with the world's destiny. This isn't passive resignation, it's an enthusiastic, joyful acceptance of reality as it is. Why would anyone love the fact that someone is envious of them? Because from the Stoic perspective, it was meant to be. It is part of the great causal chain of the cosmos. To wish it were otherwise is to wish the universe itself were different. More practically, as we learned in Lesson 5, it is the very material you have been given to work with to forge your character. To love it is to fully embrace your spiritual curriculum. Imagine a master sculptor who is given a block of marble. The marble is not perfect. It has a dark, jagged vein of quartz running through it. A lesser artist would curse this imperfection. He would say, I cannot work with this. This vein ruins my vision. But the master sculptor looks at the vein and smiles. He says, this is the character of the stone. He does not try to ignore the vein or cut it out. He incorporates it. He makes the flaw the focal point of the entire sculpture, turning what could have been a blemish into the most beautiful and unique feature of the work. Amor fati is the art of seeing the envious person as that vein of quartz in the marble of your life. You don't just tolerate it, you use it to make your life's work of art even more magnificent. When confronted by envy, instead of thinking, why is this happening to me? Try thinking, for me to become the person I am meant to be, this experience is necessary. This shifts you from a position of victimhood to one of purpose. After the initial emotion has passed, ask, what is the hidden gift in this situation? Perhaps the gift is that it revealed the person's true character, allowing you to invest your friendship more wisely elsewhere. Perhaps the gift is the motivation to prove them wrong through your quiet excellence. In a quiet moment, bring the situation to mind. Instead of pushing it away, allow it to be there. Breathe into it. Say to yourself, I accept this. I embrace this as part of my path. Feel the resistance in your body melt away as you stop fighting reality. The virtue harvested is joyful acceptance. It is a state beyond mere resilience. It is a deep-seated trust in the unfolding of your life. It replaces anxiety with a profound sense of peace and participation in the dance of the cosmos. Let this powerful formula from Nietzsche, inspired by Stoicism, be your guide. My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati. that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity, not merely bear what is necessary, still less conceal it, but love it. Our ninth pillar calls for a radical act of empathy. Remember that you are both leaves on the same tree. This is the Stoic concept of sympathia, the understanding that all things are interconnected, woven together in a single cosmic web. Marcus Aurelius frequently reminded himself that we were born for cooperation, like feet, like hands, like eyelids. He saw humanity as a single organism. To harm another, or even to wish them ill, was to harm oneself and the whole. The envious person in their ignorance has forgotten this. They see you as separate, as a rival. The Stoic response is not to mirror their error, but to correct it within your own mind. You must remember the connection even when they do not. This does not mean you must befriend them or trust them, but it means you must not allow their divisive poison to infect your own worldview. Think of your own body. Imagine your left hand became, through some strange ailment, envious of your right hand. The left hand sees the right hand holding a pen, writing beautifully, and it clenches into a fist, bitter and useless. It might even try to strike the right hand. How absurd would this be? They are part of the same body, nourished by the same blood, directed by the same mind. The right hand's success is the body's success. The Stoic sees humanity this way. The envious person is the clenched left hand. They are harming themselves and acting against their own nature. Your job, as the conscious mind of the body, is to recognize this dysfunction with a kind of sad wisdom, not to become an equally dysfunctional right hand that strikes back. When you think of the envious person, visualize them not as an adversary, but as a fellow human being, traveling the same difficult road of life. See them as a child full of hope. See them in old age full of frailty. Recognize their struggles, their fears, their misguided search for happiness. This dissolves hatred and replaces it with a profound, if distant, empathy. You don't have to say it aloud, but identify 3 things you have in common with this person. You both need to be loved. You both fear oblivion. You have both felt pain. This mental exercise rebuilds the bridge of shared humanity that their envy tries to burn. The ultimate practice of sympathia is to continue to act with justice and fairness, even towards those who wish you ill. You do not help them harm you, but you do not go out of your way to harm them. You fulfill your duties as a fellow human. This is the highest expression of your understanding. The virtue you cultivate is universal benevolence, or what the Greeks called oikeiosis. It is a sense of kinship with all of mankind. It is the ultimate antidote to the bitterness and isolation that their envy seeks to create within you. Remember the simple, powerful words of Marcus Aurelius. What is not good for the beehive is not good for the bee. The envy of another is not good for the hive of humanity. Do not add to the problem. Our final pillar is the culmination of all the others. Your life's great work is to build a fortress of the mind so strong that it becomes your permanent, peaceful home. The Stoics called this the inner citadel. This is not a single action, but the result of a lifetime of practice. Marcus Aurelius spoke of retreating into this citadel whenever the outside world became too chaotic. He said, "Men seek retreats for themselves, houses in the country, by the seashore, or in the mountains, but it is in your power whenever you choose to retreat into yourself." This inner citadel is a place of absolute safety, because nothing external can touch it. It is built from the stones of our previous 9 lessons. The clear judgment of Prososh, the foundation of the dichotomy of control, the high walls of virtue as the sole good, and the watchtowers of cosmic perspective. The envy of others is like an army laying siege to this fortress, but if the walls are high and the gates are strong, their army will simply exhaust itself and wander away. You remain safe, tranquil, and free within. Imagine a violent, raging storm at sea. The waves are mountainous, the winds are screaming, the rain is like ice. A small, poorly made boat is tossed about, its occupants terrified, at the mercy of every wave. It is taking on water and is close to capsizing. This is the soul without a citadel, battered by the storms of external events like envy. Now, picture a lighthouse on a rocky promontory. The same storm rages. The waves crash against its base with thunderous force. The winds howl, but the lighthouse stands. It does not fight the storm. It is simply built to withstand it. And deep within its core, at the very top, a light is burning steadily, calmly, casting its beam out into the darkness. Your life's work is to stop being the terrified occupant of the small boat and to become the lighthouse keeper, safe within the unbreachable tower you have built. This is the master practice. Every evening, review your day. Where did I act according to my values? Where did I get disturbed by something outside my control? Where did I mistake words for actions? How can I build my citadel stronger tomorrow? This is the daily work of the stonemason of the soul. Have a physical space, a chair, a corner of a room where you go to practice these principles. When you sit there, you are consciously stepping into your inner citadel. Just a few minutes. A day strengthens the habit of retreat and reflection. Commit 1 or 2 key Stoic quotes to memory. The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy. You have power over your mind, not outside events. These are the reinforcing beams of your fortress, ready to be called upon in a moment of siege. The harvest is the ultimate goal of the Stoic path, eudaimonia. This is not just happiness, but a state of flourishing. It is a deep, abiding, resilient well-being that comes from living a life of virtue and reason, no matter the external circumstances. It is the steady, unwavering light in the heart of the lighthouse. Let this final thought from Marcus Aurelius be the blueprint for your fortress. Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. As we have journeyed through these 10 pillars, you may have noticed a single, powerful river flowing beneath them all. This is the dichotomy of control, which we explored in our second lesson. It is worth revisiting now, for it is the master key that unlocks the entire Stoic system as it pertains to envy. Every single strategy we have discussed is an application of this core doctrine. Why do we focus on actions, not words? Because words are cheap and external. Actions reveal the inner state, which is what we must judge. Why do we view the envious with pity? Because we recognize their state of mind is their affliction, not ours. Why is virtue the sole good? Because it is the only thing entirely within our control. Why do we practice strategic silence? Because our response is up to us, and silence is often the most powerful and self-possessed choice to truly conquer. The challenge of hidden envy is to live this distinction in your bones. It is to develop an almost automatic reflex. When the sting of a slight is felt, the mind no longer asks, "Why are they doing this to me?" Instead, it asks, "What part of this is mine to control and what part is not?" This simple question, asked relentlessly, is the beginning and the end of Stoic practice. It is the path from turmoil to tranquility. It starves the fire of envy of its only fuel, your reaction. Consider the great Stoic teacher, Seneca. As a man of immense wealth and influence, he was a constant target of envy and political intrigue. He was once exiled, his property confiscated, on trumped-up charges fueled by jealousy. Lesser men would have been consumed by bitterness and plots for revenge. Yet from exile, Seneca wrote some of his most profound philosophical works. He used the obstacle of exile as the way to deepen his own wisdom. When later recalled to Rome and eventually forced into suicide by the envious and paranoid Emperor Nero, his response was legendary. He did not curse Nero. He did not lament his fate. Instead, he calmed his weeping wife and friends, reminding them of the philosophical principles they had studied together. He faced his end with such courage and tranquility that he turned a moment of supreme injustice into a final, powerful lesson on virtue. He showed the world that while Nero controlled his body and his life, he had absolutely no power over Seneca's inner citadel. We have walked a long path together today, from the confusing sting of a false friend's smile to the unbreachable peace of the inner citadel. The 10 pillars we have explored are not mere historical artifacts. They are a living, breathing toolkit for transforming your experience of hidden envy, and indeed of all life's challenges. Stoicism teaches us that the world does not need to change for us to find peace. We have the power to change. The strength to do this is already within you. It is your birthright as a rational human being. The envious person, in their weakness, tries to diminish your light so that their own darkness feels less stark. Do not allow it. Instead, let their envy be the reason you shine more brightly, not with arrogance, but with the warm, steady glow of virtue and resilience. The path forward is one of conscious daily practice. Build your fortress stone by stone. Turn obstacles into opportunities. And remember, every single moment offers you a choice to hand over your peace to another or to command it yourself. Walk forth with virtue as your unwavering guide, and may your inner citadel stand strong against all storms. Live well.